And we're live.
Now.
Yeah, now. Go.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're watching. Welcome to the show with no name. I'm Theonie Roussianos, and I don't know which one I'm pointing. That's that way.
I'm a deaf thumb.
And thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning, half hour earlier than usual because Christmas. Because my social life. That's why. I'll own up. We had to change it because of me, but that's okay. That's okay because you can catch the replay at 9:30 if you're on at 9:30, and it doesn't matter. Welcome to the show with no name. Now, this is a show for those of you who haven't jumped on this broadcast before. This is a show that Adaire and I created to help communities, not-for-profits or for purposes, we like to call them, because we want them to make a profit, and people in the community generally to get their cause out there and, find other ways to, which, is exactly what we're speaking to today. Hi, Bev. How are you going? Thanks for joining us. So today it's all about connecting communities with the people who can help. So whether it's to raise money for a cause or whether it's to get hands-on help for people and causes and events or whatever it is that's going on.
It is indeed. Today we don't have a special guest today because up until now
we do.
We're the special guests.
Yes.
Special guests. Up until now we have had amazing people that we've spoken to, like with the lovely Rachel Ireland, who is doing community fundraising for Beyond Blue. We've spoken to Luke he also does, is it Beyond Blue that he does?
I Am Worth More now. It was Beyond Blue, but now he's started his own not-for-profit or for-purpose called I Am Worth More.
Laurel Mould from Fad Ban, and we've spoken to, oh my God, so many amazing people.
Charlene and the ladies from...
And Rose Davidson from
Healing with Love. It was coming to me, Healing with Love.
That's right. We'll have to actually compile a dossier of who we've spoken to and what they're about, I think, because there's some amazing people out there doing amazing things and amazing organisations doing amazing things. But one of the things that we find through our conversations with them is that a lot of people are finding like they've got this amazing message with this amount, a huge amount of passion that they're bringing to their cause or their charity or their for-purpose organisation, their service clubs. But what they're doing is they're finding that they're not getting the traction that they would like to. So using social media in a way that it's something that is really, really powerful, and it can be really powerful if it's done right. Or we've got Tracy here as well. Good morning, Tracy. And
morning, Tracy.
We haven't seen Roy for a long time. Hello, Roy.
No,
how are you?
Good morning, Roy. And Merry Christmas to you too.
So
I can't believe it's already the end of the year.
I know. It has just flown this year. Everyone says that. Let's say something different.
I do believe it's the end of the year. It's 365 days have passed since this time last year.
There we go.
That.
There we go. That's something completely different. So please click the invite button, ask your friends to join us live. We'll share the replay if you're watching this in the replay. What we'd like to do today is to share with you some tips that we've learnt along the way about how to find, well, the first thing that I was saying before, the first thing is if you don't know who you're looking for, because you might be doing some amazing things, if you don't know who you're looking for, then how are you going to know where to find them? And I think this is, I can see the
hashtag nodding. Where's my hashtag?
Hashtag nodding. Hashtag nodding.
So, do it for you.
So yeah, hashtag nodding. There we go. My hashtag is on the other side of Australia at the moment, and because I'm up in the beautiful, sunny, muggy Queensland, up on the Gold Coast, up on Redlands Bay on an island.
I'm wearing sleeves.
And what?
And I'm wearing sleeves.
Well, what's the temperature down there?
Oh, it's 25, I think, today, but I'm going to a function and it'd be cold when I'm leaving, so I thought I'd better have some sleeves on. Okay. Otherwise, I have to drink enough to not care how cold it is.
Well, that's true too. Well, I've just chucked the lap of the island this morning, which is about 5 kilometres right around, funny enough. And now, I reckon Roy was one of the first. I was actually here on this island for the first time I met Roy in April. So there you go.
There you go. Serendipity.
So let's get back to the conversation at hand.
Avatars. Now, target profiles, it doesn't matter. Now, for people who are watching, it doesn't matter whether you are doing something for community, which is specifically what we're talking about, or if you're building a business, the same rules apply.
Exactly, they do. And it is really important because I think what a lot of people do, and I know I've worked in for-purpose organisations, I've even started my own many moons ago, and what I think the assumption is because you do such good work and your passion is so strong, you think that everybody else feels the same way, and that's not necessarily the case. And just because you're a good cause, it doesn't mean that other people are going to actually see just the general population, because everybody's got their own thing that they care about. And for example,
For example, Tracy, see, this is how this stuff works. When you're using, so this is all to do with not-for-profits. This is completely relevant to what we're talking about. How many times you need to walk around the island to complete your 1,000 kilometres? So this is another, so we spoke with Karen Percival from MND SA, or the Motor Neuron Disease Association of South Australia, or so it's for MND, Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, or whatever you want to call it, depending on where in the world you live. And the Dare to Care campaign, which was all part of our beloved Kirsty Roach, a campaign that she helped create to raise awareness and funds for MND sufferers today, for equipment that they need today to help them lead. See, and this is the thing. So what completely relevant to what you're talking about now, just because you talk about something or you're doing something, you expect everyone else to follow, but you need to find a way to make them follow or to talk about it if it's something that they can't or don't want to do. The activity, I mean. So 1,000 kilometres, I am cheering Adaire on. I have been really slack.
Well,
with the walk.
Here we go, Tracy. Thank you for bringing that up. That I'm not going to make the 1,000 kilometres this year, and that is totally fine.
We'll make it up with a Camino trail.
That's right, and I've actually been at Glenelg looking after my mum while she looks after my stepdad, because he's been in hospital and been quite sick, and he would have been nursing homeized, not hospitalised, but put in a nursing home if she didn't have support there. So I've been there, and it's just fallen completely off the radar. Having said that, Tracy, and you can hold me to this, next year I'm upping the ante. I didn't make 1,000 kilometres this year. Next year I'm doing 2,000 Ks. You want to start again next year, Theonie?
So on the 1st of January, when you fly back into Adelaide, am I picking you up from the airport or are you walking to my house?
I think you can pick me up from the airport. We'll walk then drive me to your house and drop my bag off, or drive me back to Mum's, drop my bag off, then we'll go for a beach walk, right?
Sounds good. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us, Leslie, this morning. And and that's exactly right, Tracy. That's what it's all about. That's what's more important than getting the 1,000 Ks in. You're getting the word out there, getting people talking about MND and talking about, other ways that they can help, because it's one thing to raise money and help people who are, organisations that are working on researching cures. It's another thing altogether for organisations who need equipment to help sufferers of diseases today with the things that they need now.
Yeah, and I think
that's a whole other thing.
It is a whole other thing, and I love that the people are doing community fundraising, but there's all sorts of events and fundraisers and things that happen out there in the community. And just this year, another person we've talked to has Mark Holden has been a regular name dropper, has been a regular a guest on this show as well, because Theonie and I worked with Mark to do the Rotary Oceania Medical Aid for Children project, which was helping raise funds for ROMAC, which is that acronym of, my words aren't coming up today, help me.
I'm having fun. No, I'm having fun watching you suffer. It's a community service, laughing at Adaire. Hey, laughter's great.
I'm calling
Linda finally catching us live. Good morning, Linda.
But the thing, hello, Linda, how are you doing? And
all of that comes down to finding your target profile.
Okay.
So going back to the avatar and what we were actually talking about, finding your target profile is, you can scream to the rooftops, but if you're raising money for an illness, and I can talk about this because I know about it, and we do talk about what we know. So when you're raising money for an organisation that's to do with a specific thing, so I've been, for those who, most of you probably know who are watching, I've been community fundraising for Kidney Transplant and Diabetes Research Australia. I have found the people who want to help, and there's more people that want to help, but the people who are more likely to jump on board quicker than others are people who have either been affected by diabetes or kidney disease, either themselves or an immediate family member or a close friend of theirs, or people who know me. So when it comes to approaching businesses, because when you're running events, you need donations. So whether that be items for your silent auctions or sponsorship for the event, you need to build relationships. You can't just knock on a door, say, hey, I'm Theonie, I'm raising money for Kidney Transplant Diabetes Research Australia. Would you like to give me anywhere between $5,000 and $20,000 to help us cover the cost of the event? Why do they care? You need to do your research.
Yes.
You need to do that.
Go on.
No, go. You think? I know you think. You think what?
I don't know what I think. I think my brain's gone muggy with the weather here. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. But you can see it's sort of, I'm glad it's all pixelated here because you can't see the perspiration. But I think.
Good morning, Helen. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hi, Helen. Lovely to see you here. And Linda saying that personal aspect. There is a point by which you do exhaust your friends, and whether that's for business or for charity or for profit or your fundraising efforts. And we find as we get further into the KTDRA and the AHUS stuff that we're doing, that Theonie is spearheading, you do need to get broader and broader in your in finding new people to connect with, because there's always going to be the core group of people who do support you, but you really would need to extend that network, give a lot of people an opportunity to support you, but they have to know about you to do that. And it's not a scattergun approach. And I just wanted to mention that between what you were saying, Theonie, looking for someone who's going to donate $20 or $5,000 or $20,000, there is a huge difference between where you find them and how you approach them. And one of the things that I didn't really get my head around until we'd gone through the process of being on the committee of the ball, I think it really came home to me that donors and sponsors aren't necessarily the same thing. And your guidance on that was really, really cool, because it gave me a lot of clarity on the difference between a sponsor and a donor. And I think it's probably, if you want to share your wisdom on that, because you look for them in different places. So
you do. And they all, ultimately it all has the same common goal. It's all to help raise money for your event, for whatever the cause might be. And your sponsors generally,
we'll come and run a workshop in Darwin. That's what Linda's saying. Pop in.
We'll be there one day. So your sponsors are people or businesses that you pull together. It doesn't have to be one. Businesses are pulled together to help cover the costs of the event. So you have to spend money to make money, as they say, and putting on an event. So the ball, for instance, you have to pay, you might have, depending on what the venue is, where you're having it, you're going to have hall hire costs, you're going to have catering costs. If you're using separate bar staff, you'll have all those costs, bands, other entertainment, photographers, some people, MCs, some people will donate their time, some people will reduce their costs, some people won't do any of that. They'll just, their rate is their rate. There are going to be fees and quite significant costs for putting on an event. So your ticketing costs and all that kind of thing have to factor in what your costs of putting on the event are, because you don't want to start the night with a loss. So your sponsors are there to help you cover the cost of the event. And whether they, even if you don't get enough sponsorship to cover the whole cost of the event, say if it costs you $30,000 to put an event on, roughly, if you get $10,000 in sponsorship, that's an extra $10,000 that you wouldn't have raised on the night. And your other, so the other part of it, the donations, your donors are people who are donating items. They might donate cash to put towards, because, $5 is $5. People say, oh, I haven't got much, I can only donate $5, but there's no such thing as only $5.
I just think Linda's made an interesting comment. Money myth popping up here. I would love to hear more of Linda's, what she's saying here, Linda.
I'm not sure what she's talking about.
And I think what she might be saying is around that, that perhaps that mentality, poverty mentality, and it's not the. I think we are, from what we're all conditioned to think that. So it's going to be interesting. I think we might get Linda perhaps to pop in and have a chat with us at some point, either in the new year, or I can send her the guest link now, because I'd be really interested to hear more about what she's saying. What do you say, Linda? Are you up for that?
While we're waiting for Linda to reply, when it comes to, so your donors are people who might donate a small amount of cash just to help you reach your goals, or items for a raffle, silent auction, live auction, that kind of thing, and which is all designed to help you raise money on the night. And this is the other thing. So whether you're looking at a sponsor or a donor, you touched on before about how you can exhaust your friends, because they're usually the first people you're going to approach. This is why it's important to make sure that you have on your committee, you need people who have a variety of areas of, expertise, things that they do. So Adaire with the chatbots, she's teaching me chatbots. But Adaire with all that stuff, or, people with different areas of expertise. But the other important thing that you need are people with contacts. So you need people with skill set, but you also need people who have contacts on your committee. And you keep drawing people in, because if we all travel around in the same circles, if you have a committee of 4 or 5 people and you're all traveling in the same circles, it's not going to be much help, because you're all going to be approaching the same people and you're going to exhaust that quite quickly. Whereas if you've got people who, professionally speaking, have different areas of expertise, they're likely to have different contacts as well, and people from all walks of life. And that is one of the most important ways. So, when it came to silent auction and raffle items that were donated at the ball and the quiz night over the last couple of years, we approached friends who had businesses, but also stuck my head in and started the conversation with businesses that I frequent. So I'm not necessarily friends with the people who own them, but I shop there. So you speak to them, and then when they know, you've been a supporter of their business over the last, few years, they see you in there all the time. You tell them what you're doing, they're more likely to want to help with your fundraiser anyway, because you're not someone who's just knocked on the door, never spent $1 in their business and said, hey, I'm doing this, you need to help me. Because no, they don't need to help you. They'll help you because they want to, because they've connected with you.
I think the forward planning on this sort of thing is really useful, because if you just wake up one morning and go, well, now we have to get, 150 donors or sponsors or whatever, or even 5, thinking about it a bit beforehand. And I think the more savvy you get with it, the more connections you make. Linda did say that it would be fun. I sent her the guest link, but I just wanted to make mention that I really do appreciate Linda popping in to actually pointing out And it is that something that we could take on board. And I really appreciate Linda saying this, because we are caught up in that mainstream thinking about that, again, that poverty mentality, and it is something that we are conditioned to think about.
And then that's what you attract. And then you attract more of that.
But I didn't actually realise, because we're sitting in it. It's like a fish that doesn't know they're in water. We're sitting in it, and if without that outside observation to say, hey, this, what you're saying is actually attracting that. Linda does run she has in the past. I'm not sure if they're running it. I have run it recently, but they actually run a thing called the prosperity game, which gets you to think in abundance and prosperity, and the lack mentality just doesn't exist. But this is something that I've really noticed about for purpose organisations, that is really something. It really is. Like I said, worked in them for years. My background is community development, and there really is a very competitive approach for that dollar, and they see the dollar as finite. They see the resources as finite, and mainly because they're in the government system and they're reliant on the government. That's why I'm thinking things like social enterprise really interest me, but that's another story for another time. The other part of that is saying there's only a finite amount of dollars, so if we keep going back to the same people and asking for the same stuff, then they're going to get maybe a bit tired of us asking. So, and I really appreciate that, Linda, that, when I said that, and you actually challenging me on my thinking around this, because it really is a nice thing for us to then challenge others as well, because if we change our mentality and we change our thinking around the amount of, there's an abundance of goodwill around, but there's also an abundance of opportunity if we look at doing things a little bit differently. And Roz is here too. Hey, Roz, do you ever sleep? I saw you were up at Twitch. Stupid o'clock this morning.
Oh no! And the other thing is, you just raised something about how we exhaust our friends, or we feel like we're exhausting our friends when it comes to donations and things. And the last ball taught me something. There was a friend of ours, she's still a friend of ours, but Effie Soleil. So she's going to shoot me for saying her last name, for mispronouncing her surname. She has donated significant amount of product for all the events that we've had, both for Rotary and the events for KTDRA. And the last event, when we had the ball, I was reluctant to ask her if she would like to donate something, because I understood, I know the value of $1, and I know when you're running a small business, it can feel like I'm always giving. So I was a little reluctant to ask her, but she approached us and she said, what can I donate? What do you need? And I had that conversation with her. I said, I wasn't sure whether to ask you or not, because you've been extremely generous in the past, and I felt that I didn't want anyone to feel just because they're a friend of mine, they have to give something up. And it's not what it is. So it's all about you can ask the question. I think it's important to make sure that you give the opportunity to say, sorry, not this time. Yeah. Thanks for understanding. Yeah. So you can ask the question without adding the pressure.
And being okay with that. Interesting. Roz has just said she would still like to donate, but has misplaced the links. Well, we'll give you every opportunity. So
thank you, Roz.
I think one of the things that we really wanted to talk about today, before we did actually get pulled up by Linda. Thank you, Linda. Much gratitude and appreciation for that little prompt to shift our thinking. I think that's brilliant. And we did want to talk about where you find your target profile when you are looking for new people. And one of the examples that I did want to share was when we were doing the event with Mark Holden, name dropper, hashtag name dropper. We were looking in places like, we had to know who it was that would be interested in his story and his music that would want to come along.
Yeah.
And as a
other than your son, you probably won't find a 16-year-old who would be interested in an event of that kind. So you're not going to approach the teen groups.
He was just impressed with the mullet. The 80s mullet that Mark used to sport. He was sold on the mullet. No, actually, I think it was the guitar, but the mullet came close second. But yes, you really do want to be thinking about who it's not. Oh, be still, oh, beating heart. Personally signed.
Have you just lost your words?
Linda says she's just chopping fruit while listening, so she's not going to join us. But I just wanted to when, as a service club or a for-purpose organisation or someone who's running a community fundraising event, you need to be really, really clear about who you're targeting. And like Theonie said before, you really want to make sure that the people that you are targeting are the ones who want what you have to offer, and not just a random spray. It's the same in small businesses. It's the same with whatever you're doing. And I've heard people who do skincare and say, oh, my target everyone who with skin. That was the same. That was me actually, like several years ago. But it was actually getting really laser focused. So we had to find for that using Facebook. We had to look for specific types of people. Now, working into baby boomers groups and that type of thing, where people of that genre, and Australians too, because Mark was very well known in Australia, not so well known globally, but definitely in Australia. He was a 70s pop icon, and I think in the 80s he did the Young Doctors or some local soap and that type of thing, and then in the 2000s was the judge on Australian Idol. So he was quite a high-profile performer. And those people were the ones that we wanted to tap into for, and obviously people in South Australia. So we needed to get people in South Australia interested. It's the same if you're recruiting volunteers into your for-purpose organisation or into your service club. It's about reaching out and about saying, well, who are these people first? And then you know where to look to find them. If you're looking for sponsors or donors, like Theonie was talking about before, you really do need to think about where you would find them on Facebook, especially.
Not just Facebook though. It's I'm not moving away from social media, but with this kind of thing, moving away from just social media, it's networking events. Because if someone approached me and they were asking me to sponsor their event, I don't want a private message in my inbox.
It's not. It's absolutely. It is about the heart, the human connection.
And you need to, but and you can find these things on Facebook. It can certainly be the place to start, but you need to attend. I actually spoke to someone a few weeks ago who was raising money for a cause, and I asked them if they attend networking events. And they said, well, no, I don't have a business. You don't have to be running a business to attend a networking event. It's a place to network. It's not a place to say, I'm a web developer and this is my business, or I do this and this is my business. It's a place to network, meet people, and broaden the network for people who can, you can talk about who it is you're fundraising for. And more often than not, they will be business people in the room. They'll either own the business or they might be the CEO of a business or whatever. Yeah. And if your cause speaks to them, they're going to want to have that coffee to take the conversation further.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can start on Facebook. You can continue like we are doing. We're growing our presence on Facebook, so you're not someone from the back of Bourke where nobody knows. When you do make those connections, you can strategically position yourself so that when you do approach people or you do meet them at a networking event, or even politicians, if you've got some sort of profile, then you'll be better placed to be able to have some leverage for them to be interested in what you're doing. And
the other thing is you get the celebrity to call. So the Rotary event started because Mark Holden called, well, he's now the president. He wasn't at the time, but his details were on the website. Mark Holden called Glenn Mitchell, who is now the president of the Tea Tree Gully Golf Club, to get the ball rolling on this one.
The Rotary Club. We meet at the golf club.
Did I say at the golf club? Yes, sorry. Yeah. The Rotary Club. Thanks for understanding. Tea Tree Gully Rotary Club. And so Mark Holden made that phone call. Now, if you have some sort of celebrity who's endorsing something or wants to do something for a charity, you're going to listen because you know them. You feel like you know them. If they've, a 70s pop icon who I was born in 78, so I didn't see any of this stuff on TV in the 70s. You do connect with that person and you feel like you know them even if you don't know them because you read TV, you bought TV Week every week or whatever, or you looked up at him on your ceiling every night, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be.
That poster came out of the TV Week. It did. And it happened to find its way to my bedroom ceiling. But that's enough of that. Moving right along. We are out of time. Yep.
No, I was just going to say, so when and this is something that we've been talking about for the events for KTDRA, is getting a, now I've forgotten the word, a patron. So you are in my head. So when you find a patron, somebody who has celebrity status and is likable, whether it be a local celebrity or someone more national or global, it doesn't matter. As if the locals know them, they will connect with them. Yeah. And then you do use their name. That's the whole point. You do use their name to get what you need.
Yes.
And to promote the cause, because it will open, people's ears open up when they hear something familiar.
And the more visible you are, the more of a following you have for your cause, the more likely somebody else of a high profile is going to be able to go, well, you'd be a viable option for them. So unless they're absolutely
Does it count when you pop out to the shops or a market and people say, hi Theonie, how you going? You don't know who they are and you realise you're not connected. They've just seen you somewhere on Facebook before.
And that's happened. It really has. So much fun. Saying great tips. Know who you want to target and build a relationship. And you can do that online. You can do that offline. You can do it through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Find their profiles, do a little bit of professional research and add value. And then that's with the people that you want, the high profile people that you want to get on their radar. And
talk to people when you're out in public.
It works.
This is the last thing. When you're out in public, not necessarily a networking event or whatever, talk to people. Don't just sit there and, when you go, you've seen, we've done it lots of times. When we go out and if it's just the two of us, we talk to whoever's there. It's a bit harder if you're there with a group of 20 people because you're pretty much going to talk to the people that you're with. But when you're with a smaller group, you talk to people, because I sold tickets to the ball last year. So the first ball that we had last year, I sold tickets to the ball. I was outside at the Ramsgate with a bottle of wine with another committee member. All our papers were there. This girl approached us and asked what we were doing, whatever. We all had a chat, and she bought 2 tickets to the ball on the spot because her father he had diabetes and he had a leg amputated as a result. So it meant something to her. You just never know who you're going to meet if you just talk.
You never know. So I think we'll wind it up there. We just want to wish you all an amazing Christmas. At the risk of sounding like everybody else does, we're going to do that.
Well, you could say Feliz Navidad, and I've probably got the accent wrong on that.
And I'm going to go back and look at the prosperity thinking, and we will bring to you in 2019 a whole boatload of prosperity thinking for your cause, your charity, your for-profit, or your service club, because I reckon that's our theme. Let's make it prosperity.
With Linda.
Linda can come, and she can be a special guest and talk to us about prosperity thinking for those types of organisations and causes.
And I think we need to find another word for target. I don't like that word.
I don't like it either. I don't like it. If anyone comes up with another word.
Sounds aggressive. I don't like it.
Target profile. Got you in my sight. All right. Merry Christmas, Linda. All right, Theonie, I'm not going to see you before next year, but I will see you on New Year's. You'll
see me on my anniversary. I'm spending my wedding anniversary with my husband and Adaire.
And your wife.
My wife.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. Linda's saying the next round of the prosperity game is in January. Beautiful. Make it a good one. Have a prosperous one, and we'll see you in 2019. We'll be back.
Bye for now. Do I need?